Hello everyone and welcome to Module 6. My name is Valerie Naidu from the Water Research Commission of South Africa. In this section, we discuss standards, its value, and the regulatory ecosystem it plays in. In this video, you will learn more about the standards and who sets it, applicable standards in the new sanitation industry, the benefit of standards for countries and businesses, what businesses need to be aware of in the regulatory environment and sanitation ecosystem in order to make their business grow. So let's first understand what a standard is. A standard applies to any definite rule, principle, or measure established by an authority through a body of experts. In other words, it is a source of codified information. An example of where standards are used extensively is in the automotive industry, which uses various quality and safety standards in the manufacture of cars. As discussed, a standard is developed and set by an established authority through a body of industry and technical experts. The International Standards Authority is ISO, which stands for International Standards Organization. They will draw on a body of international experts from various countries to develop new standards or review existing approved standards. In Africa, for example, standards can be set through collaborative regional networks. However, very often in Africa, countries will use existing standards from international bodies like ISO or the American National Standards Institute or the British Standards Authority. It is important to note that standards authorities can be public or private, and in the case of the latter, may be industry-led. In South Africa, the ISO standards may be adopted by the South African Bureau of Standards. The SABS sets its own standards, but also adopts ISO standards or other country standards from time to time in order to grow industry. The new sanitation industry vision is to develop innovative, non-sewered sanitation technologies that can safely treat waste and, where possible, recycle and reuse water, urine, and sludge, and create valuable products from sanitation that contributes to the circular economy. This graphic shows the sanitation value chain and the various standards being developed to stimulate the new sanitation industry. In this module, we will provide more information on ISO 3500, which deals with the front end and back end of new sanitation technologies. In the next video, we will provide more information on the specific standard ISO 3500 and give examples of new technologies being designed and developed for the new sanitation economy by the Reinvent the Toilet program of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The technologies being developed range from those developed for households, communal spaces, and commercial buildings. In this photo, we show you how Georgia Tech in the United States is pushing the innovative boundaries and developing a technology as part of Reinvent the Toilet. In this case, they are envisioning the sanitation is the embodiment of an appliance. While dishwashers clean dishes and washing machines clean clothes, the new sanitation systems are designed to clean human waste and flush water for recycling. So why is it important to develop standards for the sanitation industry? Standards offer value at both a country and firm level. Many ISO members around the globe have asked this question: what is the impact of standards on their national economy and economic growth? In this graphic, you see the impact on the gross domestic product for 5 countries based on their stock of standards that they offer to different industry partners. In other words, the more standards a country's industry uses, and if implemented fairly across the industry, the more standards can contribute to the economy and be part of global supply chains. In this example, the stock of standards contribute to about 28% of the United Kingdom GDP. That is quite a sizable amount. So it is in the interest of countries, industry, and public officials to work together to develop standards to create value and not barriers. As discussed, standards can be important to firms and countries. So what are the benefits of setting standards when growing new industries like the sanitation economy? Firstly, it provides unity of information. It provides a consistent way of codifying a product to the industry, customer, and regulator. Secondly, it enhances compatibility. In other words, it brings efficiency in manufacturing quality and components and harmonizes local and global supply chains. Thirdly, it strengthens safety to the public, manages risk to the people, environment, and customers. Finally, it stimulates innovation through competition and embracing change. There are always two sides to a coin, and if standards are not developed collaboratively by the industry partners, experts, and regulators, it could stifle creativity, increase the cost to company, increase the barriers to entry of new products and services, and limit competition. In other words, it could create monopolies that increase the cost to customer. So it is important that government and industry creates the right ecosystem for new industry development by one, promoting competition among sanitation technology and service providers, two, regulating cost of products or services, or alternatively, incentivizing industry to develop innovative business models to reduce costs. Three, developing an enabling infrastructure such as laboratories and testing facilities for certification of standards. And finally, increasing innovation by investing in research and development. I will now take you through the South African regulatory landscape for sanitation provision. In South Africa, any standard developed has to abide by the principles of the South African Constitution regarding justice, transparency, equity, and human rights. Section 24, which says everyone has a right to an environment that is not harmful to their health and well-being. So in other words, sanitation technologies and services must not harm people. Section 27 of the Constitution says everyone has the right to have access to sufficient water and food, and hence sanitation products and services cannot pollute water and cause disease or affect safe water provision. These rights for the South African public is enabled in legislation through the National Water Act 36 of 1998 and the Water Services Act 108 of 1997. The Water Services Act 108 of 1997 further entrenches the right to sanitation, which says everyone has a right of access to basic water supply and basic sanitation. Secondly, every water service institution must take reasonable measures to realize these rights. The National Sanitation Policy of 2016 gives effect to the implementation of the rights via the legislation. Any municipality or utility regulated by national government takes its direction from policy. Since ISO 3500 was only approved in South Africa in 2019, the principles of ISO 3500 can be further integrated in new policy which may be developed in future. This sanitation policy in South Africa is implemented using a norms and standards document, which guides the implementing municipality or utility further. While the norms and standards cannot specify a technology type or provider, it can provide guidance on the type or efficiency of toilets, for example, dry toilets versus flush toilets. It can specify performance and product standards to be met and how waste is to be managed. In this document, a standard such as ISO 3500 can be used to manage safety and risk of the technology and service options being sourced. When utilities or municipalities are implementing sanitation services, they can use a standard like ISO 3500 in the specification when they procure for a sanitation service. Therefore, if you are a business or innovator, you must understand these processes, or it could become a barrier to entry if public sector officials do not understand changes in technology development and the type of business services available. So if the industry partners work with public sector officials who regulate sanitation services, you can have smooth access into the sanitation market. If not, the industry will continue to procure conventional sanitation technologies since they understand how to manage them and the risk associated with those technologies and services. So when establishing a new industry with new technology and service options, it is important to understand how technologies are being procured and the specifications being developed. So do you know the sanitation regulatory environment in your country? I hope by giving you a better understanding of what a standard is and its value, the standards that are available for the new sanitation economy, and how standards are part of the regulatory process, you will be better equipped to innovate new technologies and ensure they reach the market. Thank you.